Hey, this is David Owen.
And this is Marian Cowagowan.
And this is You Show Me Yours, a podcast where a married couple talks about the movies and television that they loved before the first date. Except for the month of April, where we talk about things that weren't before the first date. The month of April is when we met, so we talk about movies after the first date. Because we have rules on this podcast that we don't respect completely, but occasionally we have an exception to those rules, and April is one of those exceptions.
And when we break the rules, we have long monologues about why we
Yeah. I mean, you got to justify, you got to be internally consistent.
Yep.
Yeah. This time I was made to watch Barbie.
Are you the target lady?
Barbie!
Approved! Yes, it's Barbie. It's one half of Barbenheimer. We don't have the other half because neither of us has seen Oppenheimer yet. We had the opportunity to watch Oppenheimer on a boat in the middle of the ocean starting at midnight. And I was like, no, that's a little chilly. I don't really know. But I watched Barbie, so I showed it to Dave. If you missed the fact that Barbie existed, then I don't know what to tell you. You were clearly not on social media in summer 23. And also you're not a woman of my age or a woman of any age, really, because it was everywhere. Yeah, how dare you not be a woman? But it is the 2023 comedy directed by Greta Gerwig, who every time I see a Greta Gerwig movie, I'm like, she's brilliant. She needs to direct everything all the time. I want to see everything that she's done. Because we've talked about Lady Bird, and she did Little Women, not the one that we talked about, and that's all
the other one.
The lesser one, honestly, but that's not her fault. And she's done other things that I haven't seen, but everything she does is great, and I want her to live forever and make many other things.
Yeah, she's not made many movies, but I've heard good things about the Little Women.
Yeah.
Thing.
Well, and she seems to be good to work with too, which is, I mean, on the one hand, let's get into the gender of it right away. A male director is allowed to be an asshole and still make good movies. Women are not, so that's frustrating. But I prefer people to be good people. So if she's a good person and a good director, that's great. Leaving out the gender stuff. But this is one of those movies that took a product. Not to say that this was her thought process, but takes a product that people buy, and they were like, how do we get them to buy more of it? And they created a story.
Yeah, while also subtly acknowledging the complicated aspects of our product and also absolving ourselves of them because we subtly acknowledge them.
Well, yeah, subtly and super, super, I mean, we're talking a pin drop subtly. Yeah, I have a little bit of a problem with the reception that this got as the feminist opus. And I was like, no, that's because number one, I've taken a women's studies class. So this is not new to me. And also you have a long ways to go. But regardless, this is, I guess we would call it a commerce movie. The point of every movie is to make money and sell things, but this is
it's a Barbie version of the Lego movie.
Yeah. And there have been others. I can't really.
That's good.
Well, the Lego movie was very good. Yeah. And honestly, same thing with that. I was like, how? This is not what, and it was actually, the funny thing is Will Ferrell is almost the same character.
Yeah, very similar. Ish.
He's kind of this authoritative looking idiot who wants to ruin all the fun.
Yeah, and this movie, I don't know if this is her writing or if it's Noah.
I think
other writer.
I think it's her.
No, I know it's both of them, but I'm saying I'm clarifying that there are two writers.
Yeah,
I'm clarifying that to say I don't know which one of them writes like Lord and Miller, but one of them does because it very much felt
who wrote
the Lego movie.
Okay.
And, it very much felt like the writing of the Lego movie. In the very first parts of it, it's almost beat for beat. Wake up, song, number where you kind of you go through when you introduce your character. And your character is in a perfect world, but something's subtly wrong. He's not quite perfect.
You get to show off all your production design, fun stuff.
Yeah. So it's very. I don't know if that's her. I wouldn't judge that to be her from the stuff she's written previously, though she's not. She's not a stranger to comedy. So yeah, so I don't know, and yeah, I can't remember what I know Noah Baumgartner from, but he's written stuff that I know.
Yeah, they've done a lot of work together since they got together. I'm not sure which came first there, but well, before we get into the movie, I do want to talk about just Barbie as sort of cultural
Marriage Story. That's what I know.
Sorry.
Yeah, he wrote Marriage Story.
Not seen that. I'm never in the mood to be that depressed.
Yeah, no, me either. But I was trying to figure out what I knew his name from.
Holy. There is a long list of movies where I'm like, I'm sure that's very good and very technically well done and emotionally very affecting, but I do not want to have that experience. And that's one of them. Schindler's List was on there for a long time, and then I finally saw it, and I was like, okay, I hate everything.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I was in my mind palace, and then I just emerged suddenly from.
I know how that works. You bounce around, and you're like, wait a minute, how did I get over here with the penguins? I was reading about candy bars, and there was a path. You just didn't know what it was. I want to talk about Barbie as sort of cultural phenomenon for a second. What is your experience with Barbie? Because I suspect that you enjoyed this more than the average man. Sure. And I also suspect that your experience with Barbie had something to do with that.
Sure,
so
yeah.
Tell me briefly.
First, can we just say the plot to this movie is the stereotypical Barbie is not feeling perfect, ends up finding out that the person playing with her in the real world is possibly depressed, has to go to the real world, wackiness ensues, do the Meg happy ending kind of thing. Also kind of sad ending.
The ending is odd. I don't really understand that.
Just wanted to get that out of the way. If you haven't seen Barbie, it's just basically it's a fantasy comedy. What if Barbie went to the real world?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, my experience is coming out of my mom's second marriage to an asshole drug dealer that she only figured that out afterwards, as far as I know. I don't know if Mom, did you know that beforehand? We ended up living with my aunt and my cousin, who is approximately 1 year younger than me. She was like 9 months younger than me, I think. And I didn't have a lot of choice if I wanted to play with her, but to play Barbies and stuff. So for a while we played like He-Man and She-Ra. And then it was like, okay, well, even though she had She-Ra stuff, somehow the trade-off was if she plays He-Man and She-Ra with me, I have to play Barbies with her. She already had She-Ra. Like, I didn't make her get that stuff. She had it already. Clearly a She-Ra fan. And somehow the trade-off was if she plays He-Man and She-Ra, I've got to play Barbie. Which is fine. I don't know. We play Barbie.
What did you play with them?
Just like dress up and like, you know, house and crap. This led to, I don't know if they were just given to me or if I acquired them. However, ended up having a couple of Barbies. Then shortly after that, I ended up with some step siblings when my dad remarried, and there was some Barbie action there as well with my stepsister. Limited, not as much. She was she was into Barbie, but she was also very into Jem. It was truly outrageous.
There were dolls of Jem?
Yeah. Oh yes. Okay. Yes. Jem was I think she was slightly bigger than Barbie. She was certainly more sort of robust than Barbie, because I think Barbie clothes didn't quite fit on her, but Jem clothes fit on Barbie. Okay. And Jem's whole thing was the doll had light up red earrings. Because when Jem turned from Janice, or whoever the fuck her alter ego is, into Jem, she put on the magic ruby sparkle earrings and became truly outrageous.
Okay.
You're not getting that because you didn't.
I'm not.
There's someone out there who is just side splits right now because I said that Jem is truly outrageous.
Yeah, Jem is one of the many, 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 many things that a woman of my age should know intimately, and I do not, because I was raised in the 1920s.
Yeah, so I did a lot of play with just like regular Ken, like brown hair Ken.
Okay.
Just like brown comb over Ken.
Are the hair colors like a code, or they just have?
I don't know. So this Ken was already existed before I was there.
Okay.
So this was just her Ken. She just had brown comb over Ken. Like, you know, prep hair, like the swoop across the. And then I ended up getting. At some point, I got Barbie and the Rockers Ken.
Okay.
Which is
you only received Kens.
Yes.
Okay.
I did not have I didn't have a She-Ra, and I didn't have a Barbie.
Okay.
Though I played with Barbies. Like when we played, like I enjoyed dressing up Barbie and all that.
But like,
sort of
as for ownership purposes.
Yes. Because Barbie was far more interesting. Like Barbie had more clothes, cooler stuff.
Yes.
And so I had Barbie and the Rockers Ken, who came in a, so this was the 80s. I think I actually looked it up before this. Barbie and the Rockers Ken came out 86, which is approximately, I think I was around 7 when we lived with them. So it's perfect timing on that. So, and it's 86. So he was head to toe, sparkly silver outfit.
Wow.
I think it said Rock on his shirt, which was like a mesh shirt, but silver. And then he had a sparkly silver, this matched his pants, floor to ceiling trench coat that he wore.
Wow.
And he had a little pink guitar. And he was at this time, there may have been a one before, but the smoke on the street, as the kids said in like 1994, was that he was the first Ken, either the first Ken or the first Ken in a long time with real hair. And he had a rocker mullet.
Okay.
It was super sweet. Look it up. Barbie and the Rockers Ken.
Okay.
Is super sweet.
Okay.
And later on, when I was putting him through a sort of a heartbreak arc in his rock and roll career, I shaved his head. I took a pair of safety scissors and I cut his mullet. And it was a miscalculation because what I didn't understand is that like that hair is just plugs that are put in. Yeah. So when you like, because I wanted him to have like a buzz cut, because at the time I had a buzz cut. So I wanted to have a buzz cut like me.
Cut it and it all fell out.
No. It just was like stalk of hair, stalk of hair, stalk of hair, stalk of hair. Like I'm moving my head, I'm moving my hand an inch across my head and then tapping. So it was just like gaps of visible Ken skull with plugs of hair that had been inserted. And there was maybe like 20 plugs of hair across his whole head. And you know, those blossomed out into a beautiful blonde mullet. Until you cut them down to nothing.
Less beautiful when it was trimmed.
And then I believe I was gifted, I want to say I was gifted earring Ken, earring magic or whatever it's called.
Ken,
because I remember having a Ken with an earring.
Okay.
I didn't have, I thought for a second, and I looked it up, I thought I might have had Rio, who was the boy in Gem. He was a purple haired, and he was a Barbie, a Ken-esque doll with purple mullet hair, real hair. But no, I had Barbie and the Rockers Ken.
Okay.
And I played Barbie, and it, you know, I enjoyed it. It was, you know, because I was playing with someone who also enjoyed it. Yeah. And she did things with me that I wanted to do, and I did things with her that she wanted to do, and back and forth. And I enjoyed it, and it didn't make me gay. As far as I know,
doesn't seem to me like it did.
Yeah, and it didn't affect my masculinity. I can still grow a fine full beard. You know, I'm much like Ken. I have all the genitals.
You do.
You
Even
know,
with an earring.
Yeah, I had 2 earrings, and those were in the correct ear, so they didn't make me gay.
I was going to say, was Ken's earring in the right or the wrong?
Absolutely in the right ear. It was the correct ear. By that I mean the left ear.
Which is the left. Yeah, I remember at the time people said, "What is it?"
I don't. Was there a saying for that?
Right is wrong, and
left is right.
Left is right.
Yeah.
Something.
Like
it was for those who don't know what we're talking about. If a man had an earring in the right ear, it was supposed to be a sign that he was gay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This was legit. Like, you know, there were things like, you know, Friends of Dorothy and all this sort of like you had to have lingo.
Well,
you know, and that was sort of the gay club thing, you know, the club thing. Like,
also given that, you know, 4th graders in my small town Catholic school knew this, I sort of wonder, was that real? I think
it 100% got out.
But also like that had probably passed by the time.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Like it had been a code in like the 60s or 70s. And by the 80s it was, but yeah, now that would have made me gay. A left ear earring, a right ear earring would have
That's how it works.
Barbie did not make me gay, but a right ear earring would have made me gay.
The second piercing gun touches the ear.
We know that. Also, if you come here when someone motions to come here with 2 fingers, that also makes you gay. I'm sorry to say, like, I almost got caught in that one time. There was a brief, it was like 10 minutes where I was by because I like stepped towards it, but I didn't finish the step.
Good to know.
But I'm good now. I'm recovered.
Good. Good to know.
Yeah. So that was my experience. Like, I loved Barbie. I didn't. It didn't seem abnormal to me. But I've just always been one of those kids. Like, my dad was racist as fuck, and my first girlfriend, like quote unquote girlfriend, was in kindergarten, and she was black, and I didn't even bat an eye about it, despite getting inundated with racism at home and by my extended family on his side. I've always been that kid of just like, these stupid things, these stupid rules that you make that keep me from doing or having things that I would enjoy are stupid, and I'm not gonna let them rule my life. So I don't know how or where I got this sort of just innate ability to not care about what people think and what society says I should do or should be. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I've always had it since birth, and it didn't faze me one bit. I didn't think twice about it. Even at the time, I wasn't like, that's girl shit.
Well, honestly, like when you have one female only child and one male only child, you need them to play with like I imagine you needed playmates. And so you were like, yes, fine. Whatever she wants. Yeah. Well, unsurprisingly, to you and to any listeners who've been keeping up with my tales of my childhood, I had a very different experience. My mom thought that Barbies were trashy,
sure.
And that they gave girls unrealistic body expectations, and I think she objected to the commerce of it all. I mean, the whole point of Barbie is to get her more clothes I don't think that you could buy the clothes by themselves.
You could.
Oh, okay. But still, you have to buy more stuff.
Yes, that was not where the money was, but there were. I remember going into like the Eckarts or the Revcos, the drugstores, and they would have them, flat
the
packed,
outfits. Okay.
Just an outfit,
okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that was not where the money was made. That was like the little secondary thing that you like, well, we'll throw you a bone here, but really, like, there's even a bit in the movie where the human character says she lost a boot and her mom wouldn't rebuy a whole Barbie to get the boot. Like, that was totally a thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I imagine the dolls were easier to buy, and you want like multiple, you want like this one outfit and various stuff. And I remember reading some parenting book that she had that talked about Barbie and said, you buy a $5 doll and you get a $500 habit because you have to have all the accessories, the camper van and the this and the that and the dream house and so my mom was just like anti all of it.
Oh yeah.
And to the point that when I turned 7 or 8, one of those years I had a birthday party, and one of the little girls in my class gave me a Barbie.
Sure.
And I unwrapped it, and I said, oh my gosh, my mom's not going to like that I have this. I'm not sure if it was a peaches and cream Barbie or maybe it was something crystal. Mm-hmm. I remember like a icy silvery blue thing. But peaches and cream was about that time, but it may have been crystal. But anyway, well, this little girl reports that to her mom, and her mom calls my mom, and the mom is furious. And my mom's like, why did you say that? Well, because you've been telling me for my entire life that I can remember that Barbie is stupid and will rot my brain. Yeah. So there was great concern over my brain rotting.
Yes.
Through the wrong toys, the wrong television, the wrong books. Like, I don't know if my brain has rotted. Am I smart enough despite the rotting? I don't know. I never got a definitive answer on that. Maybe. I don't know. Actually, I feel very similar to Barbie's complaint in the movie that I'm very ordinary.
Sure.
So I didn't expect to relate to Barbie in that way. But I think the view, and I'm not saying that my mom was the only one she didn't come up with this viewpoint on herself. I think this was part of her sort of cadre of liberal feminists at the time.
I was going to say, I could see a segment of sort of liberal feminists backlash at Barbie. No, I mean, it's kind of represented in the movie to a certain extent.
Well, kind of. They sort of just name check it, and then they're like, but that's silly, you know. And I thought, I don't know, there's something legit about it. But there've been a lot of studies done of like, if you took Barbie, because Barbie has the same measurements, or I take that back. In the last, I don't know, 5-10 years, they have updated Barbie a little bit. They have made her a little bit shorter, a little bit plumper, a little bit closer to the average woman. But for a long time, Barbie had the same measurements, and there have been umpteen times, if you proportionally blew her up to a human size, she would be like 7 feet tall, and her waist would be the size of a toddler's arm. I mean, like,
her legs are way too long.
She couldn't exist.
Like
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what's funny is historically, so the age at which you play with Barbie is getting younger and younger. Like, how old were you when you were playing with Barbies? Probably like seven. Okay. Well, the girl in the movie says, "Oh, we haven't played with those since we were 5." Like, it just, you know, well, the younger you are, the less dexterous your fingers are. And you've got these tiny little clothes and tiny little shoes and tiny little limbs and all the snaps and things. And, you know, and so it doesn't even really make any sense. Why would they make this doll that is hard for little hands to dress? Now, I think when they introduced Barbie in the 50s, it was probably girls more like 10, 11.
Yeah, well, that was like young age like that. That was a baby doll range. Like that was toting around a baby doll.
Yes.
You know, one that pees and one that poops and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like
and then you graduate
to a Barbie.
You graduate to Barbies. Yeah, and so now I don't know how they square that, because it doesn't make any sense. You know, a kid's going to get frustrated. I can't dress this. I want to do it by myself. And then, you know.
Also, she's clearly not 5 in the movie when she's playing. Like, I feel like she's clearly older than 5 in the movie when she's playing with it. That's like a, you know, that's just sort of like a throwaway line of like, you know, I haven't played with that since I was 5, because 5 is so immature and I'm 13 or, you know, 14. And that's so mature.
I think, though, in general, I say about kids really from age like 5 to 18, any given age, they are both younger and older than I was when I was that age, because they know about a lot of stuff that I didn't, and they have a more sophisticated take on the world, which I do not think is to their betterment always. But also, the ages at which they play with different things just shifts younger and younger. So, yeah, if a 12-year-old was playing with Barbies in the 50s, she's long past that at this point. So, anyway, yeah, my mom felt Barbie presented an unrealistic body image. She comes with makeup on. She always has these. I mean, yes, Barbie has lots of careers, but they're always glamorous. It's, you know, newscaster, scientist, never actually doing what an actual scientist does.
Yeah, never lab technician.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. She's never in the jungle, you know, crawling under things to get samples and has gunk all over. You know, she's like, she's a zookeeper, which means she plays with a cat. Like, she's not up to her elbow in monkey shit. Baby gorilla. You know, yeah. So it's an unrealistic portrayal, I think. So it was a little bit of the commercialism and the unrealistic image. And I think in general, she just wanted me reading and playing with Lincoln Logs. And, you know,
stimulating your...
Yeah. Which, you know, is fine. Although, as with many things in my childhood, it wasn't so much that I missed Barbies. It was that my identity was, I'm a kid who was not allowed to play with Barbies. And that just set me apart from my peers. But
when you're
regardless.
when you're the kid that's not allowed to do the thing that is extremely popular, you just become the kid that's not allowed to do the thing that's extremely popular.
Yes. And then when you add that to all the other things, like it didn't bode well. But regardless, so I do not have this great nostalgic love for Barbie in the way that a lot of women my age do. I went to see this with a bunch of female friends. I guess we were probably mid-30s to 60. And they all seem to have much fonder and specific memories than I did, unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of, I had that, you know, and I was just like,
yeah. And there were some things, I did see a couple things in there. I didn't see the pink Corvette. I don't know if it was in there or not. But that was that was one. And my cousin never had a dream house, but some of the accessories and little stuff, like she had Skipper. She had some of the offshoot Barbies.
Yeah, were those, because like there's a bazillion Barbies, and at some point they had, it always seemed like the other dolls, Skipper and Teresa and Midge, which we will get to Midge later, they were like lesser. Like I feel like at some point Teresa was coded as Hispanic. And it was like, if you're not white and blonde, then you're the second tier of Barbie. And then they changed that.
Yeah, then like Barbie could be any...
I assume at this point, Barbie can be any ethnicity.
Yeah, which I think is a great idea. You know, like it obviously was not the originating idea of Barbie. But the concept that Barbie can be anything, and that means career and hair color, skin color, ethnic background, religion, you know, like that makes for... that ends up making Barbie sort of more palatable in the end.
Yes.
Than it was when it was just blonde Barbie that happens to be a doctor, happens to be a scientist.
However, in the movie, so obviously the Barbies are played by lots of different actresses, and so there are some that are shorter or thinner or taller or fatter than others. There is one who I think you would say she's the plus size Barbie.
Sure.
She's like my size, a little bigger. There's no plus size Barbie in real life.
No, I'm not up on Barbie.
I mean, I don't know. I've never checked Barbie.com. I guarantee you there's no plus size Barbie.
I'm gonna
if there is, it's not that level of plus size. Barbie is canonically thin and has an hourglass figure, and probably, and maybe at this point she does still, I don't know, for most of her tenure has worn heels.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna bet, like, you know, you can change her hair color, her skin color, her eye color, but she's got the same nose, she's got straight white teeth, she's thin, you know, like, I don't necessarily, looking back, I don't necessarily think that my mom had a point about Barbie is going to warp your body image, because I was a girl living in the US, so there was plenty of other stuff to do that, but I don't think it helps your body. Excuse me. I don't think it helps your body image either.
Sure.
So,
we worked out a very specific sign.
Sorry.
For when you wanted to cough, so I could mute you.
It came on me.
Sorry,
it
folks.
It surprised me. Yeah, sorry. We're still sick, folks. We're getting over it, but this is being sick in 2023, 24, whatever the year this is. It lasts forever.
Yeah, she gave it to me. We're not still sick. I'm now sick because she gave it to me.
Well, I'm still sick, just a little bit.
I'm just pointing out, we are not still sick. I was not sick last week, and now I'm sick. Yeah, I don't know. There's a curvy Barbie, but I would say she's like a 8. I don't know.
Which is, you know, plus size is in the eye of the beholder, I suppose, but
like a 10 maybe.
I don't know. That's I'm not going to speculate on what size a doll is when we know that Barbie plays fast and loose with human proportions anyway. So
sure, anyway.
But anyway, canonically, up until the last 10 years, Barbie is thin, which I think is not a great image for girls. But at the same time, I think part of what girls like about Barbie is that she's grown up. And the movie kind of makes this point that up until a certain point, I guess the 50s when Barbie came out, and it's hilarious. It's this very Planet of the Apes intro.
It's not. That's not what it is.
It's not Planet of the Apes?
Oh
2001.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Oh, my Lord.
Sorry. But there's apes involved, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, it's very like Werner Herzog's sad beige world with these little girls in in beige clothing playing.
These babies playing with their dolls.
Right.
They're so sad.
And they're just playing with dolls and like changing the diapers and having tea parties, whatever. And then Barbie comes and they smash them and everything.
It's 100. Yeah, it's 100% like send up a remake.
Yes.
As with dolls and Barbie, the whole thing.
And I think part of what was appealing about the Barbie then, in contrast to the baby dolls, is that they're grown up and they're glamorous, and you can dress Barbie like your mother or your big sister, or oddly, Barbie can be a mom, so you can do the same things through Barbie. Mm-hmm. Take care of a baby that you could with a baby doll, but it's much more glamorous. A Barbie never has puke all over her.
True.
Which happens when you're a real mother, I hate to say.
Yes.
So, but okay, so the actual movie. So I said I wanted to ask you your opinion of it. You as a man, did you feel that this was, and I'm using this very specific word, emasculating?
I'm not the person to ask for this. Like, this movie was like 45% for me, like as a Barbie male adult, adult who played with Barbies. No, I think that it's no, like, I mean, I don't even know. I don't really know how to say it. Like, it is, as a man, I was laughing more at the patriarchy stuff than anything else, because like it's done in a way that there is an underlying sort of criticism there, but Ken's lines about, like, I really lost interest in the patriarchy when I learned it wasn't mainly about horses.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's
like,
great. Yeah.
Like Ken's like, again, like, this is the second movie in recent history that was sold as a feminist thing. The previous one being the Ghostbusters with an all-female cast, and then they gave the best role to a guy.
Yeah.
Because Hemsworth in the Ghostbusters, I think it's 2016, is the best part of that movie by far.
Is.
And I don't hate that movie. As a lifelong Ghostbusters fan, I don't hate that movie. It's fun. It's vague. Like, it's 100% a him movie. It's, and it's got that same cast from, like, Bachelorette Party and all that, all those together. And it's, I don't hate that movie, but yeah, he is by far the best part of that movie.
He really
and
is.
Ken is by far the best part of this movie.
So much, yes.
And like his musings on it, it's that kind of thing where you can, like, twist it through the lens, like a male character who has no idea what the patriarchy is or how the world is, how the real world works, suddenly thrust into the real world, and he's looking at it and he just assumes that he quickly puts this together, like, men rule everything, men do everything, like, just my maleness alone is enough to get me. And then he starts going and trying to get a job, and they're like, well, you need an MBA, and you need to be trained as a lifeguard to be a lifeguard.
But then he says, you guys aren't doing patriarchy very well. And he says,
right.
No, we're doing it well. We're just better at hiding it, which is like,
yeah. No, I didn't find it emasculating at all. Like, I can't imagine the sort of insecure man that would, like, people, like, laugh at yourself, dude. Like, none of this stuff is untrue that they're pointing out in this movie.
Yeah. Well, and I ask that, and I'm using that specific word because I came across something lately. It was an interview with Shakira, of all people, who said, she didn't like the Barbie movie, and neither did her sons. They found it emasculating. And I was like, okay, well, how old are your sons? Because I sort of feel like they didn't know that word until you explained it to them. And didn't know that concept until you explained it to them. Like, I feel like this says more about you as a parent than about them. But I did hear a lot of backlash when it came out. Men not liking it, which is like, it's not for you. It's fine. Yeah, not everything is for you. But also a lot of more conservative women not liking it because, and a lot of people were really upset by the initial scene with the girls, bashing the baby dolls on the rocks and everything. And they were like,
keep talking.
And okay.
I'm just giving you a hand signal because I'm tired of your water bottle flashing at me because you're not drinking it. So I'm trying to give you the universal hand signal to turn something around.
I got distracted by your shiny hand signal and threw me all off.
All right, well, turn it a little more because I can still see it flashing. Thank you.
They were upset by the girls, not wanting the baby dolls and not wanting to be mothers, and they were like, "It's anti-mother." No, it's not. It's little girls wanting a different thing. Like, have you met a little girl? They get distracted. Little kids. This isn't a girl thing. This is a kid thing. They get distracted very easily. So I have been very frustrated by a lot of the criticism that I've read of this, but I kind of want to sit down with someone and have a serious conversation. Like, what do you dislike about this? What now? Which is not to say that I love everything about it and think that it is making original salient points. Like I said, I've taken a women's studies class. This is not groundbreaking to me. No. I actually even think the message at the end kind of gets muddled and I don't even really get where it's going. But there are some women for whom this was super eye-opening, and I'm glad that it existed for them. I just personally was like, yeah, there's a double standard for women. I get it. Like, this is not new to me.
And it always is. That's the thing about aging, right? Like, there is someone who's going to see their first satire, and it's going to be crazy to them, and like the craziest thing in the world. And they're like, oh, they're lampooning this thing. And then they're going to continue to age, and they're going to see more and more and more of that. But to get back to what you were saying about the criticisms, and I don't really care what your political leanings are, but this is just an observation I have been making lately. Conservatives in general, the ones who are vocal enough to say that they don't like something, they don't understand. They have fucking zero media literacy. There is a great quote. There's a movie that we will watch called Starship Troopers. There's a great quote from the director, Paul McTiernan or Verhoeven. I think it might be Verhoeven. Yeah, and he basically says, I wanted to make a movie that was so laced with anti-government, anti-military, and anti-establishment satire that if you ever met a person, and this is not me quoting him directly, this is paraphrasing. If you ever met a person that didn't get it, you'd be scared of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've ever met a conservative that knows that Starship Troopers is a satire.
Oh God.
In fact, there's recently been a game release that's been all the rage called Helldivers 2, which is directly taking from the satirical approach of Starship Troopers, and conservative types in the gaming sphere don't get that either.
Oh gosh. There's a long list of, I've seen it, of, like characters where if you idolize them, you miss the point of the movie. Tyler Durden and the guy from Clockwork Orange and lots of it, and they're all conservatives love all those guys.
Yes.
Like
these are not the good guys. These are not the guys you're supposed to be cheering for.
Yeah.
These are the guys that you're supposed to be like, you're jaw dropped that this stuff, that someone like this can even exist.
Yeah. And I say that as a person who loves Fight Club, and when it came out was cheering on Tyler Durden a little bit, mostly because he was going to destroy a credit card company and get rid of all debt. But your critical thinking and your applying film messages to the world at large.
Yes. And of course, the most famous recent example of this is when a bunch of conservatives found out that Rage Against the Machine was a liberal band and has always been.
Yes.
Just the amount of what did you think they were raging against, tweets that the mileage that people got out of that, the media literacy is so low. And I think it goes right into this, common trope about conservatives that they vote against their own best interests, whatever. Yeah. Like, you don't if you don't have that sort of level of literacy, like you're listening to Rage Against the Machine and you're saying some of those that burn crosses are the same that work forces, and you don't understand that they're talking about racism in the police department and how that gets carried out. Like that, of course you don't get that a rich man wants you to blame the poor man below you while he picks your pocket.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of why I would like I said, to have a serious discussion with someone who, say, watches the opening of this and thinks they're making a statement about girls shouldn't want to be mothers. Well, and as I was watching it, so in some of my classes this semester, we've been talking about intertextual stuff and the idea of there's knowledge that you have to get textual references, and
like
if you
need
don't,
to know that's 2001,
right? Exactly. And so I knew it was a movie reference. I knew it was a reference.
Great, good for you.
It's my secret conservatism is revealed because I forgot.
You were just I knew this was a reference to something.
But yeah. So as I was watching this, I was like, oh my gosh, if you didn't get that, that's a reference to another movie, and like all of the stuff that comes with it, this goes completely over your head.
And like the whole point of the 2001 is it's a paradigm shift. The monolith comes down, and the apes go from potentially not being intelligent to being intelligent. They throw a bone in the air, it turns into a fucking spaceship. It's a paradigm shift. It's a moment that changes something, the course of human history or the course of the
Barbie
dolls
history.
that kids play with forever. Like it's the whole point of that scene is that it's a paradigm shift. And I suppose you could misconstrue that as a paradigm shift away from motherhood into the career-driven world of Barbie. But I think you're stretching really thin to do that.
Well, I think the other sort of point in that column of look at all these ways they're denigrating motherhood is that Midge, who's the only pregnant doll, is sort of sidelined. Like I think we see her twice in the whole movie, and she's just sort of standing awkwardly in the yard. Like she doesn't.
Well, she's a punchline.
Well, yeah. Well, right. And so she doesn't have a job. She's just a mommy. Or actually, she's just pregnant. We don't see her with babies.
But like Barbie has kids. Like,
well, yes, we don't see them in this, but there are Barbie moms. But I'm a little.
And they actually explicitly say that at some point. Like Barbie can be a mom. Barbie can be like
that Midge is played by Emerald Fennell, who you've never seen her, but she directed Saltburn. And a couple of other, and she just does sort of dark, interesting stuff. And I kind of would have liked to see her take on Midge, but that's a whole other.
Yeah. I feel like this movie was probably had some cameos that I didn't notice, but I feel like it was begging for cameos in places that it didn't have them. You know, like when they first find out that Barbie's out, there's like 3 Mattel employees that go into an elevator or that are like talking about it. And then one goes into an elevator. And I'm like, this should be like The Lonely Island or like, please do not destroy. Like it should be some 3-man comedy troupe.
Oh,
like, you know, that's gonna, it's just a, you know, they're, because 2 of those guys are only in the movie for a second. You know, it should be the workaholics guys. Like it should be just like, you know, and then Adam Devine is the one that goes up to the top. You know, like it should be something like that.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know. I think the point of all the Mattel stuff was that they're all, except for Will Ferrell, they're all faceless and identical. I mean, because when the what's his face is in the cube, they all are wearing the same outfit. I don't think any of them is supposed to stand out. You know, you notice Will Ferrell is different and he's got a pink tie, but everyone else has the same outfit.
But I'm saying, like, just from the perspective of like I'm making a fun movie. They could still be dressed like that, and they could just be. It could just be those 3 guys, like
I mean,
it's the sort of thing where like you only get that if you get it, you know, like you know. And like Lonely Island is a little famous for that, But like some of these other things, like I said, the 3 guys that currently do the digital shorts on Saturday Night Live, like it's those 3 guys.
I do like jokes like that where if you get it, it adds something, and if you don't get it, you're not losing anything. You know, because I don't like jokes that make people feel dumb if they don't get it. And so, if that's just, do you recognize the person? Great.
Yeah.
Like,
and
did you recognize that it was John Cena as the merman? Great. If not, it's just a hot merman. That's all.
And then just like, they're sprinkled throughout. And I think it's great. And like I said, I'm sure there are some that I didn't get, but I just feel like there were points where it's like, this is the sort of movie where you cash in like all of your Hollywood friends' favors, you know, like, hey, Ryan Reynolds, you know, come be a Ken in the background of this, you know, like when South Park had George Clooney voice a dog, you know, like, and like just a dog. He didn't talk. It's not a talking dog. Yeah. He just barked, you know, for an episode.
Really? Yeah, oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny.
In Deadpool 2, when they have Brad, with a spoiling Deadpool 2 for you. Where they have Brad Pitt play the Invisible Man, or randomly in that one Star Trek movie when Tyler Perry is the senator. And we cracked up in the theater. Hilarious. In my memory, we cracked up for 10 minutes in the theater and ruined it for everybody else. I don't think that's actually what happened. But this movie, it's full of great references and it's full of little, little funny things and cameos, like I said, in there that you're not going to even get. Yeah. The production design, I think, is stellar. Like the first, 30 minutes is so much good stuff there. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you see Barbie getting ready for the day, and there's all this stuff like her feet are permanently in high heels. Yeah. She when she takes a shower, there's no water. When she eats, she never, da-da-da. The thing I like the most is it's related to the feet gag. When she takes her feet out of the shoes don't move. Okay. Like, do you ever try to just step out of a pair of shoes? Yes, I can't. I don't remember what they don't. So the shoes hit the floor, and then she just pulls her feet out of them, and the shoes stay stuck to the floor. Oh, okay. But like the shoes aren't quote unquote stuck to the floor. just her foot is pulling out of them like a doll's foot would. Like when a person would pull the shoe off of a doll, like the shoe doesn't jiggle, it doesn't move.
This is because you played with Barbies and I
sure.
It was a formative experience that I just lacked.
Yes. But also it's just that visual language, because you look at that and you go, that's not how a human's foot comes out of a shoe.
Yeah.
She doesn't unstrap it. She doesn't do anything. Like she's wearing these like strappy heels and her foot just slides out of it.
Yeah.
And this way that is just like, it's just selling the whole thing that you're talking about. The shower that doesn't have water.
There's a lot of
the
clever
glasses
stuff
that don't have any liquid in them.
I think my favorite is when she's brushing her hair at the beginning of the movie, the hairbrush is way too big.
Oh yeah, and it's just passing close to her head.
Yeah, it's just completely out of ratio. Which actually, now I didn't have a Barbie or Dreamhouse or whatever, but I did have a dollhouse. And made some of my own accessories for it. And so those were completely out of whack, or like I would combine different sets or whatever. And like I was very proud. I made some fruits for the fruit bowl that went on their table.
Wow.
I took a nutmeg.
Yeah.
And painted it green for a watermelon.
Nice.
And I took some garbanzo beans dried and painted them like orange for peaches.
Wow.
And if you think about a nutmeg and a garbanzo bean, those are not that ratio is all the way off. And they didn't work with adult, but it doesn't matter because you're a kid and you don't need to, So the hairbrush to me was amazing.
Well, and but also like the gag with the hairbrush, as someone who didn't have Barbies, maybe you don't get this part of it. Mm-mm. The gag with the hairbrush is the reason it's so big is because the hairbrush that comes with a Barbie is intended for a child to hold.
Yeah.
So she's a Barbie holding a Barbie hairbrush. The hairbrush is the size proportional to her that the real hairbrush that comes with a Barbie is.
Okay.
But that hairbrush is made for a child to hold.
Okay.
As they brush Barbie's hair.
Okay.
So like she's holding this huge hairbrush, and that's the gag. Like that's so it's multi-layered. You found humor in it without even getting, like when you talk about watching Spaceballs before Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like you found the humor in it without getting that reference. Yeah. Like that's like the not the implicit, the overt reference is like, hey, you know how Barbies come with these hairbrushes that are like way too big for them to hold realistically? That's because a human child holds them. So there's a ton of stuff like that in there, and just like your toothbrush is oversized, and
I liked and this one. So the Helen Mirren narrates it a little bit, but she kind of goes away except for one line after the first like 10 minutes, which I thought was an odd. Like, if you're going to have a voiceover, have it for the whole thing, or, but regardless.
No, I think if you're going to I think you got two ways to go. You have a voiceover for the whole thing, or you have an intro voiceover that, is like there for the first few minutes. So I didn't mind it. Like, I can see what you're saying, but I am a fan of just like, here we are in this story, and then the story begins, like.
Well, anyway, and she says, you don't waste time having your Barbie go down the stairs. You just pick them up and put them where they're going to go. And so Barbie just floats down into the car. And I was just all that. It's and even so good.
When she gets into the car, I don't know if you noticed this, her legs are stiffened. Barbie's legs don't bend at the knee.
I think so when she goes, posture is very
when she goes to get in the car, she's very straight up.
Yeah.
Her arms are kind of out like a Barbie's arms would be out. And then her legs are at a 45-degree straight angle, which is how you sort of cram a Barbie into a Barbie car. So it's like there's just a ton of that stuff. The accessories when Ken is throwing her clothes out of the house and it's all popping, and showing like it looked in those flat packages that you would buy at the drugstore. It's made by someone who clearly, you have this problem often where something gets made, and this happens so often with video game and comic book movies. Something gets made by someone who doesn't respect the source material. They like the sort of base idea, and they think, oh, we'll take that and we'll just make our own version of it, which is why it took so long, really, until like Marvel started making their own movies, for someone who cared about the source material and would honor it to make a movie, which is, of course, not universally true. The Crow was pretty faithful to a lot of the source material and other things like that. But you see someone here who is clearly faithful to the source material. Like they get it. And they also get it because they are literally being advised by the brand that owns it, but still.
Yeah. I don't know what role Mattel / the Barbie, Ruth Handler estate, whatever. I don't know what role any of those entities had in this, but I imagine it had to be a lot. So yeah, you always kind of have to remember, like, this is irreverent, but it's one of its goals is to get you to buy stuff.
Yeah,
so,
and they do let themselves be made fun of a little bit,
just
by
a little.
highlighting the fact that they don't have a female CEO and CFO and like this sort of stuff, and some of that stuff that's the great stuff. Like when they go in the boardroom and it's just like it's all men in there, and there are no women. I don't even think there are women in the sort of lower floor.
No, those were all men wearing the same thing.
It's just great. Like, and it's also, everything about this movie is so over the top, even the stuff that's happening in the real world. So it's like, it's hard to even take much of it too seriously, even when it's trying to tell you to take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends up with that sort of like introductory to feminism pop kind of feel.
Yeah.
Because so much of it is wrapped up and packaged like that.
Yeah. Well, I think... Yeah, I don't want to let Mattel / corporate toy companies off the hook for, we have a whole bunch of men making decisions about a toy that is largely for girls. Now, toys have no gender. Boys can play with Barbies, et cetera, et cetera. Yes. But let's be, you're marketing this as female empowerment, so there should be some women involved. I think there is probably some strategy where, I will let you get away with criticizing me a little bit, because then you won't do the major criticism and you'll feel like you've made progress and you actually have it. So there's something for that. But
it felt like the deal that was made was like, you guys can make fun of us a little bit, but in the end, you have to have the male CEO want to go save Barbie World and not let it become Ken World, because he acknowledges that females put him in the place that he's in. Yeah. And like they explicitly have the Will Ferrell character say that, of like, of course I don't want this to become Kingdom whatever. This
although
is
the Mojo Dojo Casa House does sell a lot.
Despite that, he still understands that, and again, those like for that character, those are selfish reasonings, because in the logic of the movie, a company that's selling Ken toys will end up being helmed by all women, because it's sort of opposite land at the Mattel offices. So we don't have too much left.
Well, I was going to say, so
you got a few more things?
Production design.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, and so when the Oscar nominations came out, 2 months ago, there was a lot of kerfuffle over... The movie as a whole was nominated for Best Picture, and America Ferrera was nominated for Supporting Actress, but Margot Robbie was not nominated for Best Actress, and Greta Gerwig was not nominated for Director, but also Ryan Gosling was for his role as Ken.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people that said, this is why this movie is made, is a man gets nominated he gets singled out among all the people, mostly women, who did it, which I totally got. However... I feel like, two things. One, I don't think that this was nominated for production design or sets or, costumes or any of that stuff. I don't think that it was. And I really feel like that was an area that I think was neglected. 100%. It was great. So I would have liked to see that. But also and I think everybody acknowledges he stole the movie.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you're upset that he got nominated. Did he win? I don't remember.
No.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry if you're upset that he got nominated. But
he was amazing.
A woman wrote and directed him in the best role in the movie. You just can't if you wanted you gave that role. You gave the things to him to say and do in the movie that made him the best character. That's just how it happens. And I don't imagine that Gerwig is probably upset about that. There has to be some acknowledgement amongst the people that made this movie that that's the best role in the movie. That's the juiciest role, the most fun role to act and to watch.
Is he? I mean, because I don't know what he's like. Ken is kind of a himbo.
Yeah.
And he has this arc where he's very emotional in sort of a pitiable way. And there's just a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of juice there. And he's got this fur coat and all the dramatic, and he's
just dumb, and
he's written as a fun character and he's played as a fun character. Yes. And there's a lot. So I get the criticism that people were making about, of course, it's one of the few men in this who gets recognized.
Yes.
But also, I don't think that was out of order for him to be nominated. Yeah.
And I sympathize with the lamenting that there weren't more nominations for the more
technical
the more technical stuff. And I sympathize with lamenting that there weren't more Margot Robbie, Greta Gerwig, like that those nominations didn't happen either. Like I'm not saying shut up and like what we gave you The Man, like I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying like there was no way that role wasn't getting nominated.
Yeah.
In the same way that anybody who watched that Ghostbusters movie will tell you Hemsworth was the best part of it.
Yeah.
Like it is just, it's this weird thing of like people trying to make these female empowerment movies and accidentally writing the dumbest possible male characters into them and not understanding
and that's very
that those
entertaining.
will be the most entertaining parts of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I think there is something.
And then having like heartthrobby dudes do it with Hemsworth and Gosling.
Yeah. I think there is something to be said for, like, if you had less talented directors, female co-stars, et cetera, would Ken have been as fun of a character? Would, I forget what Chris Hemsworth's name in Ghostbusters is, would he have been as fun? So that's like, it takes a village to support this Oscar, this very good performance.
Sometimes
I don't know.
It does. Yeah. Ghostbusters, it did not. That character comes out of nowhere. They're interviewing secretaries. They're basically looking for the Janine of their version of Ghostbusters. And he just comes out of nowhere and steals the movie from that point forward. Like, so it's just, in that case, in this case, I get what you're getting at. I do. It's possible that, a movie more dominated by the character because he was carrying more of the load. And maybe that's a little bit of what Ghostbusters suffered from. Maybe it that character ends up carrying too much of the load, and while it's remembered as being hilarious, it's not as hilarious as it could have been. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But
excuse me.
Yeah, I just giggle the whole time. I mean, there's a lot of jokes for the whole thing, but Gosling especially, I can't even with him, the joke per minute stuff, and then and all of the stuff, like he's so bad at naming stuff when the Kens take over. The Casa, whatever. Like the Mojo it's basically house. Like three times. Did you notice? Yeah, Brewski beer.
Yeah,
and
beer.
She's his long commitment, low distance girl. Everything is multiple.
It's all It's just he's very bad at and like his whole thing of like horses are everywhere.
Yeah,
because he loves horses and and like excuse me, hang on, carry this for a second.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I read something about his costuming because for a large part of the movie, after he sort of discovers patriarchy and wants to take over, he's wearing this long mink coat. He's shirtless underneath and, slim pants. That's apparently based on Stallone or Scarface.
Well, they directly show pictures of Stallone in the 80s.
That's a very 70s and 80s thing of masculinity.
Oh, yeah. Stallone was like, he gets the idea about the fur coat from a picture of Stallone. Yeah, that flashes on the screen.
Yeah, like it's more of for stuff like this, I want like a pop-up video annotated version of this where this is from this.
The stuff per minute is really high in this movie. And
it's such a rich text, a lot of different references that I don't get.
It makes it worth multiple watches.
Yes.
So we were talking about Gosling. Like I feel like a few years ago, I don't know, maybe 5, maybe 10. I don't know now how to measure it out. I feel like he was the least interesting of the like leading men out there, that he just did these like throwaway roles or something. The movie that he's in with like Steve Carell and like where he's dating his daughter and and then he did Drive and it seemed like he was going to take a serious turn, and then just in the last few years, he has just proven himself to be way more versatile than he seemed in the early part of his career, where he just seemed like he was going to be another like Edward Norton or something. Like he's just going to be like a dependable guy. You bring him in because you need a dramatic actor, or a more to the point, a Mark Wahlberg. You bring him in because you just need a recognizable name. And he's, if he needs to be in shape, he can get in shape in 6 weeks. And if he needs to be funny, he can be a little bit funny.
Yeah.
But he has just like, even his movie coming out, The Fall Guy, which is based on a show that I loved as a kid.
That looks good. Like a lot of fun.
It looks good. It looks fun.
Yeah.
And that's just, you that stuff goes and it ebbs and flows in Hollywood when they're making those sort of fun movies like that. Like they're not always making those sort of fun action movies that are just like, lead female, lead male, silly stuff going on, fun action stunts. They do those every now and then. And when they do, like, I always feel like I want to be like grateful. I want to be like, let me go see this in the theater so that they'll know that people want to see this.
Right.
So they'll make more movies like this, because I love these like fun, generic, so oftentimes generic sort of actiony movies. Like I don't expect this to be anything like The Fall Guy with Steve McQueen. The show, The Fall Guy.
Oh, yeah.
Which was really way more about the stunts. Like it was really about like, hey, he just happens to fight bad guys whilst doing cool stunts.
Yeah.
Like he's going to jump out of a plane and fight a bank robber somehow.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. This looks way more like it wants to deliver on the just sort of fun.
It looks like it's got some fun dialogue, and I think Emily Blunt is the love interest, and so she's got some snap too.
Like,
but
I will talk your ear off about the subtext of a movie, and it's deep, and I will tell you things about the movie on Netflix about the pretty things, and it's super slow, and that's the point, and it's supposed to be boring, and it's doing the and I will get super deep into motivations, but at the same time, I love just like a stupid comedy, action, thriller movie, summer popcorn, like, because so many people, I feel like they got a thing that they do and that they like, I'm the action movie guy. I'm the dramatic movie guy. I'm the foreign movie guy. And I'm just like, these are all way too good. Like I will sit and watch a movie like The Black Coat's Daughter, which is like 2 hours of nothing happening but tension that may or may not actually pay off. I'm not going to spoil the movie for you. And love it. I watched that movie. This is just unrelated. If you know Black Coat's Daughter, you kind of know what I'm talking about. I watched that movie and then I immediately watched it again.
Oh boy. Okay.
And you would say that it's the most boring movie
would
you've
I
ever
fall
seen.
asleep during it?
You probably
like I did with the other one? Yeah.
You probably would. But so yeah, like it's just, movies are just too good to not, and I can, and this appreciate each movie for what it is. I can watch this movie, Barbie, and I can appreciate it for what it's bringing, the satire, the lampooning of patriarchy, and even the lampooning to a certain extent, even though they keep it light, of commercial, products like Barbie and buying things. And like just love movies, enjoy movies. This is a good movie. Just enjoy it. Like have fun with it.
The end. Yeah, I don't. On the flip side, though, I would love to be able to analyze it deeply and tease out what its feminist message is and try to analyze that a little bit, because I'm not entirely sure that it holds up.
Yeah, it seems like it's trying to serve too many masters.
Yes. I am not enough of a feminist scholar. I am certainly not a philosopher. Like I would love to get some more academic critiques of it, because I think there's a lot of feminism 101 out there. And like I said earlier, I think a lot of women, a lot of men, a lot of people need the 101 stuff. But what happens when you see that and you're like, okay, great. Now, like, you need a 102. You need a one, like,
right.
I wish we had more explicitly feminist properties to advance this message even further, that would like take people step by step, because you do need baby steps, because some people are going to be turned off if they feel like something's too preachy, or they just frankly are not smart enough to get it. So you need, the tweaks a little bit, the baby steps. And I would love to see more of that.
Well, Hollywood has this problem where they make a movie that is like Feminism 101 or whatever, like you can pick up a subject, but Feminism 101, and they make it for like 20 to 25 year olds. Mm-hmm. And then they wait 10 years, and instead of making Feminism 201, they make Feminism 101 again for 20, 25 year olds.
Yes,
like those 20, 25 year olds are 10 years older and ready for more challenging subjects, but you just make the same movie again.
It's like in Dazed and Confused. I get older, they stay the same age. There will always be a group of 25 to 35 year olds who will come and see your movie and have their mind blown, and you don't ever need to do anything for the older ones.
You get good press, and you enlighten a few minds, and you also, because of the grind, you get new directors that are coming in that they only got that 101, and they want to spread that, and they do that by starting with the 101 again. For the ones that go, I want to make that before this new generation. I'm in my 40s by the time I can finally get a movie made that I want to make. So I want to make a movie for 20-year-olds about that's like the movie that I saw when I was 20 that was like Feminism 101. There's going to be somebody in 2055 who wants to make their Barbie. And it's going to be the same level as this movie. And it's unfortunate. I sympathize, and I feel like the future in what you're talking about is long form content. It's series content on streaming services. It's someone who will give someone money, a little bit of money, to make a very sort of contained and small series of 1 hour shows. That sort of stuff I think is the future versus Hollywood movies. Well, Hollywood doesn't take risks.
That's fair. I mean, we've talked about, when you're turning books into movies, or there's stuff you have to cut out. You can't keep it all. So that's fair. And a 2-hour movie can only do so much. That's fair. So, well, I hope when they remake this in 20 years, they have a better ending joke than Barbie has a vagina now.
Which is still, it's a solid joke. But you want to talk for a second about the ending?
I don't know.
I mean, it's just
get your pap smears. It's important to go.
Well, but I mean,
she goes to the gynecologist at the end.
The ending of the movie. Well, but the actual ending of the movie, that's the final joke, is that Barbie decides the standard stereotypical Barbie. Excuse me. Talks to the ghost of the creator of Barbie and gets to become human and have the human experience. Yeah,
that's where it started to get. Just I was like, I don't really understand.
I think I don't know. Maybe the intent is as the sort of quote unquote least interesting Barbie, the one who just has a dream house and a sports car and goes to the beach with Ken. She never had that career. She's not a doctor. She's not a nurse. She's not an astronaut. The stereotypical Barbie, because Barbie, like just capital B Barbie, isn't an astronaut. She isn't a scientist. She's just that first doll that came out, the one that you just dressed up. And that's her entire life. So stereotypical Barbie has just spent an existence not achieving anything, which, is potentially what leads her to her sort of, there's this idea of like, did the human that's playing with her cause her sort of existential crisis, or did she somehow? Which is, that's because she's spent all these years not achieving anything. She just gets to wear cool clothes and drive a cool car and go to the beach and have girls' night every night and have a party. She's like, oh, what are we doing tonight? Oh, nothing. Just having a raging party at my house with a bespoke song and dance moves.
The same thing we do every night.
Yeah, the same thing we do every night. So like, that's what I take away from the ending, that like finally the Barbie that never got a chance to be any president or Supreme Court justice or a lifeguard or a mermaid finally gets to do something. She gets to have the greatest adventure. A pap smear.
I don't know. People who are perfect put a lot of they layer a lot of beauty on being imperfect, and I'm like, I'm highly imperfect. It's not fun.
I do like the when you say like Helen Mirren comes back later on. For the one liner, that's the best one line when they're like, Barbie is sad and has quote no makeup on. And Helen Mirren comes in and is like, Margot Robbie's not the best. Like,
Barbie
she's
says,
like, I'm ugly.
I'm not pretty. I'm not.
Like, Helen Mirren is like acknowledging like, this woman is gorgeous no matter what. Like, we're kind of stretching here to say that this woman is hideous just because she doesn't have makeup on. Like, it's Margot Robbie. What are you talking about? Which was fun.
She was born to play Barbie, frankly.
Oh, sure.
And I say that not to belittle her or her skills or anything, but like, she's just
she's beautiful, but also she gets it. Like, she's done enough roles. There are certain women that get, I think Scarlett Johansson is one, like they lean into that sort of sex symbol status in this sort of knowing way, and they're sort of, they have fun with it. And they do it in this way that is smart and that works for them. Natalie Portman does a lot of that too, where like they know that they're beautiful, but they make intelligent choices in their movies, and they don't allow themselves to be in a movie just because they're beautiful. That's not, it's not about exploitation of their beauty when they're in a movie. That it's just there's this set of Hollywood actresses that I admire for that sort of empowerment that they have, where they are taking beauty back, if you will.
There's a thoughtfulness to it.
Yes, absolutely. And and she's definitely one of those.
Yeah. So, well, folks, we would love to know what you think. I can't imagine there are any thoughts that we haven't said.
We said it all.
Been talking for long enough that we've said everything.
I'm losing my voice.
We would love to know what you think about Barbie the doll, Barbie the movie, Barbie the character, Alan, Ken.
Oh, we didn't even mention Alan. Alan's the best.
Yeah.
But, from Scott Pilgrim.
I sort of promoted. I was like, we're going to be talking about Alan next week.
Yeah.
And then
we didn't even talk about it. Alan is great. He's like, besides Ken, he's the best part of this movie.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Because Alan is nothing. No one acknowledges Alan.
Is he Skipper's boyfriend or Midge's?
Probably.
Or I don't even know. Yeah, I don't think
he's
Alan
the guy
was...
that knocked up Midge.
Yeah,
Alan?
I don't know. I don't think Alan was really in the Barbie set.
I think he had literally one doll, and it just wore that one outfit that Sarah wears the whole movie.
Based on that costume, I think he was probably from the 60s. Like,
certainly. I think Alan is a deep cut, from what I understand, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But Alan is great. He's somehow...
He's a male ally.
When the Kens take over, Alan is somehow lumped in with the women.
Yeah.
But also Alan can...
Well,
also, like, Alan can kick ass. Like, he fights a bunch of construction worker Kens and beats the shit out of all of them.
Yes.
So, like, Alan is just this... If Ken was not as good as Ken is with all of his, shtick, Alan would have been the character.
In the PhD thesis that is eventually written about this movie, Alan's going to get 20 pages devoted to him.
Yes.
But anyway, let us know what you think. You can get in touch with us a couple different ways. You can send us an email, or you can find us on Facebook. Our handle's the same for both. It's YSMY Podcast, YSMY for You Show Me Yours. You can send us an email, ysmypodcast@gmail.com, or message us on Facebook. Also on Facebook, there on our feed, we have links to all of our episodes. Typically, we have an episode every other Wednesday. So 2 weeks from today, no matter when you're listening, there'll be a new episode up. During April, we have episodes every week while we're doing After the First Date Month. And next week, Dave will be hosting. So what will we be watching next week, Dave?
Yeah, I put a lot of thought into this. I was going to really try to torture you with something. And I don't mean like torture in a bad way. I just mean like a movie that is outside your comfort zone.
Okay.
In a way that for some husbands, Barbie might be outside their comfort zone.
That's why I'm married to you.
Yes. So like a movie that I really want to show you, because I think you will like it so much more than you hate it, is The Witch.
Okay.
Or The Vivitch, as a lot of people insist on calling it. Because it's 2 V's instead of a W. And I played around with other things, and there was, I thought, a logical follow-up to the feminism of Barbie, the sort of female-lensed feminism of Barbie might be a movie called Ex Machina, which is a sort of a male-led movie that is about feminism, but through a male lens. But then I was like, that stuff's too serious and or, dark, so we're just going to watch John Wick.
Okay.
Because it's fun, and you get to see Keanu Reeves do his gun fu or whatever the hell they call it.
I will never be upset about a Keanu movie. So I know there's a dog.
Yes, the whole plot of the movie is a dog dies.
It's basically Marley and Me with action.
Not really. I guess if Marley and Me's family went on to bring about the downfall of the Russian mafia. But,
All right. Well, then, y'all, we will see you next time with John Wick. In the meantime, this has been You Show Me Yours. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
The You Show Me Yours theme song is Uplifting Electronic Indie by Winnie the Moog from filmmusic.io.
Hey, this is Dave. You're gross.
What?
Right into the mic. Sorry, you were just like, I call it cycling. You were just like,
I don't know what that was. Okay.
Okay. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I always call that cycling, when you're just like just making weird noises with your face and head. Not you, just the universal you.
Making weird noises with my face.
Yeah, like freaking mouth noises, like
Stop making me laugh.
Like this one. This is a big one. Yeah. When people do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah. You've done that. All right, you ready?
No, you have me self-conscious.
Then just, yeah. Like, if you want to be self-conscious about something for you, it should be you have this, you're almost like the Chick-fil-A girl.
Oh, stop.
Stop. No Chick-fil-A sauce?
It wasn't funny before I saw it. It wasn't funny after you showed it to me. It's never been funny.